Yes, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Way aye, bonny lads. It's a Geordie special today. In the name of one of the contributors to the comments, a guy called Gary Unsworth, who's made a specific request for a song which I will be singing at the end of this. So when you hear the song dinger, run for the hills. Yeah. If you run for the Yorkshire Hills, you'll see a guy running along there with big flappy wellies. That's likely to be Larry from Rotherham. I'll do a little song for Paula as well, because she likes some Scottish songs. But I'm going to talk about Geordieland today. If we go back in time, I went to give a talk to the staff at HMP Prison Durham in Geordieland, when I was forming the Prison Force Federation, which was a trade union for non-supervisory grade ranks of the prison service. My argument being that it's not possible to have management running a union, because if you do that, you haven't got a union. What you've got is an association, a staff association, which is really what the Prison Officers Association is. It isn't a trade union. Trade unions are run by the workers, and the managers do the managing, and the workers do the working. In this case, the jailing, plodding the landings, locking up the inmates, and dealing with the sharp end. That's what the staff do. The managers set out the rotas, set out the rosters, set out the policy, all the rest of it, and it's the jailers that do the jailing. Except they've mixed it all up in the prison service, and they've got chief officers, or they had chief officers and principal officers running the unit. So I set out to form the Prison Force Federation, which I took round. I went round a lot of the big jails, including HM Prison Durham, which is what I'm going to talk about now. When I arrived there, the meeting was held in a function room over quite a large public house, and I went to the meeting. I got there about 7 o'clock. The meeting was scheduled to start at 7:30, so I got there about 7 o'clock. And as I'm approaching the building, I saw these 2 or 3 guys standing outside, and they had like clipboards in their hands. And as I went up to the thing, they said, "What's your name?" I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know who you are." "Who are you?" He said, "Never mind who I am, we know who you are. What is your name?" I said, "Well, if you know who I am, you don't need to know my name, do you? Because you already know it." And I just ignored them and went in. It transpires that these were chief officers from Durham Prison, and they were there to take the names of all the staff that attended the meeting that I was speaking at. Basically, I was just saying it's not possible. You haven't got a trade union, you do know that. You know, in the event that you are charged with any disciplinary offences, it's not possible for the people that are charging you with disciplinary offences to represent you as your trade union representatives. You can't do it. You've not got a trade union. You need a trade union. This is a dangerous job. We are faced with very often seriously recalcitrant inmates that will attack staff. And if you defend yourself, which you've got to do, and you've got to keep good order and discipline, then the people that are likely to be taking action against you are your own trade union members, and that's why you've got no trade union. And they hadn't. Still haven't. It's still a right mess. But the government have passed legislation now preventing all prison officers and employees of the Home Office are prevented by statutory law from taking industrial action. So the government have solved this. They've said basically, you're working for the Home Office, you can't strike, you can't withdraw your labour. So really what the staff should do is say, what they should do if they've got some bottle is say, okay, I resign. I'm not working for I'm not becoming a slave. This is not 1760, you know. I'm not being a slave, so I'll resign. I'll go and get myself a job where I can actually, I'm in control of my own labour, not you, yeah, not my employer. Certainly I'm employed to do a job, which I'll do to the very best of my ability, but if I feel that you are giving me instructions to undertake tasks that are unlawful, incorrect, or a threat to my safety and well-being, then I will withdraw my labour, and I reserve the right to do that. The prison officers don't have that right today. They don't. They either do the job or resign. So what they should do is the Prison Officers Association should call them all together and say, this is absolutely disgraceful. We're working for a pittance, bank holidays, weekends, nights. You know, we're working on average 60 hours a week, which is what was happening when I was there. Staff were working on average 60 hours a week, and they said, oh, they're doing this for the pension, you know, a great pension at the end. Most of them didn't live to get that pension. The vast majority of prison officers spend less than a year in retirement because they've exhausted themselves, mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. Because when you're scheduled to start work at 7 o'clock, that doesn't mean report for duty at 7 o'clock. It means you're on the landings, keys in hand, hat on the head, stick in your pocket, uniform on, ready to go on the landings at 7 o'clock, which means effectively that you've got to leave home about 6:30 if you live next door, or 6 o'clock if you live a distance away. So you're getting up at 5:30, 5 o'clock every morning. You're doing this for 30 years, yeah? And you're working 12-hour days, some shifts were 14 hours. And you're doing this for 30 years. By the time you get to that, and don't forget, I've been in the jails, and I've gone on duty at 7 o'clock. At 7:05, I'm rolling around the floor with some big bastard who wants trouble. Yeah, battling away. Then you bash him in a cell, whatever you've got to do, dust yourself off and go back to work. And you're working another 12, 13, 14 hours maybe. And you've started the day off with a battle. You do that for 30 years, and nowadays you work in the prisons till you're the retirement age. When I was there, you retired at the age of 55. But now you work till you're 67. What bloody use is a 67-year-old geriatric who's done 30 years in the jails? They'll be completely knackered. They ain't going to get no pension when they retire. They're gonna stop work and drop dead. I see that happen many times. Staff who've been on duty one day, working perfectly well alongside you, they retire from the prison service. Next thing you know, you're attending the funeral. That's what happened with the prison service, and that's why I said we cannot have conditions like this. And the basic problem was that the filth, dirt and degradation didn't just apply to the inmates, applied to the staff. I tell them, you can't work like this. It's filthy, dirty, disgusting. You know, we need proper conditions here, not just for the inmates, but for you and me, the staff. Brainwashed, you see. I said to some staff, you know, you've been in this job, what, 10, 15 years? You know, you've seen it going down and down and down. It's getting worse and worse and worse. So let's do something about it. No, I've got to think about my promotion. Promotion? You can get promoted. You go and be a chief officer. So you get about 4,000 a year more. So what? Still going to drop dead at the end of it. Ridiculous. So as I said at the start, so that's my little rant for today about when I went to Durham. So they took all the names as they were going in, and I said to the guy who'd organised this for me in Durham, said, what's it all about? He said, oh, they're chief officers. He said, they're trying to intimidate us. But we got about 120 turned out from the staff, and the people at Durham were very supportive of this. But of course, when the Prison Officers Association and the governors decided to tell everybody that I was a special agent of Colonel Gaddafi, that I was over here in the prison service, having been recruited by Gaddafi, and I was here to cause disruption and chaos in the British prison system. That's what they told them, and people, well, I mean, we can't get associated with that, can we now? Yeah, people absolutely believed it. How mad is that? Me. I mean, I had been in Libya in 1969 when Colonel Gaddafi's army took over, but I was with the British Army. I wasn't with Colonel Gaddafi's revolutionary goons, believe me. Anyway, so basically at Durham they were very supportive. The chief officers were out there intimidating the staff members. There'll be lots of those staff members still around today, like I am. But this we're going back to 1979, early 1980 now. So that's, what, 43 years ago, 44 years ago. Imagine that. I don't look that old, do I? Probably. Anyway, as I said, this is dedicated to a Geordie himself, the lad himself, Gary Unsworth, who's made a special request for me to sing a song which I had never really heard, you know. He wants me to sing Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. I have listened to it a couple of times to try and get it in my head. It's not something I've been very successful with, as you probably guessed I wouldn't be, yeah? Anyway, before I do that, I'm going to do a song, a little bit of a snatch of a Scottish song for Paula from Glasgow. Oh, I'm through, I'm absolutely through, and I adore the country I was born in. I'm through, I'm absolutely through, but there's something in the bottle for the morning. There you go. I think that's a Harry Lauder song. Something in the bottle for the morning. I assume he's talking about whiskey. I had some last night with my wife. She doesn't drink whiskey, but to celebrate Valentine's Day. Yeah, she's still got the first Valentine card I sent her. She has. Imagine that. 53 years ago. Wow. Anyway, here we go. You've been warned. This isn't going to be easy. I'm about to torture this. This is my rather mixed up version of Deep Purple's Smoke on the Water, specifically for Way I Lad. Hey, bonny lad. Gary Unsworth. Here you go. So I expect a nice critique for this, and you can get my book. Don't forget, folks. You've got to get this book now. Yeah, Gary, you got a copy of this? Yeah. HMP, Manchester Prison Officer. We all came out to Montreal on the Lake Geneva shoreline to make records with a mobile. We didn't have much time, but Frank Zappa and the Mothers were at the best place around. But some stupid with a flare gun burned the whole place down. Smoke on the water and fire in the sky. Smoke on the water. They burned down the gambling house. It died with an awful sound. Funky Claude was running in and out, pulling kids out of the ground. When it all was over, we had to find another place, but Swiss time was running out. It seemed that we would lose the race. Smoke on the water and fire in the sky. Smoke on the water. How about that? We ended up at the Grand Hotel. It was empty, cold and bare, but with the Rolling Stones truck outside, making our music there. With a few red lights and a few old beds, we made a place to sweat. No matter what we could get out of this, I know we'll never forget. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. Smoke on the water. Well, I reckon somebody's extinguished that. There we go. Thanks very much, folks. It's John G. Sutton here. Tales from the Jails.